All right, recording started.
All set. Okay, it's 7 PM, March 12th in City Hall, 140 Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut. Time to call the City of Torrington Inland Wetlands Commission to order. Serving on the commission this evening are members Christine Altman, Adrian Barb, Joe Paganini, Randall Stelma, Stephen Thompson, myself, Jay Bate. Also present is Nate Marty Cyrus, Inland Wetlands Enforcement Officer and Assistant City Planner. Next on the agenda is minutes for approval for the January 22nd, 2024 meeting.
Oh, yeah, I'll approve the January minutes.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Aye.
Let me call them off. Make sure Christine,
Abstain?
Adrian,
I said aye.
is aye, Joe,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Next is public hearing scheduled for 7 PM, March 12th, 2024. City Hall Auditorium, room 218, 140 Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut. The adoption of City of Torrington Wetlands Map revised
Thank you.
January 2nd, 2024.
So this is just a regular update to our wetlands map, but it requires a public hearing. So we just have to open a public hearing. If anyone wants to comment on that, you can discuss, put it out to the audience, and then make a determination.
Okay. The new map, is there anyone who'd like to speak on behalf of that map being adopted? Anyone online?
And I'll show it for folks. So this wetlands map has state mapped wetland soils. It has, oh, it's not. Is that
Okay.
better?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
This has state mapped wetland soils. It also has wetlands mapping done by private consultants that were digitized into our wetlands layer. And also the upland review area was digitized in yellow as a 100 or 75-foot buffer. So this is the total regulated area of the municipality.
Nate, we could previously see it online, but we can't now. So if you can show us after, then we can take a look.
Yeah, I'll figure out how to share it.
Thanks.
It's been changed. Just could be anywhere.
Can you see it there?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
If they can see it, we can.
Right, I'm gonna
Which is
fix.
okay.
I'm gonna
We
fix
use-
that. You can discuss.
Do we?
Seen it.
Yeah.
Hey, you know how much has been changed on it?
Yeah, there's just been a few updates. We've added the larger wetland mapping done for the Clug Hill campground up here on
Hmm.
these two parcels here.
That's good.
As we go through documents that we're looking at through the land use office, we refer it to our GIS department and they hand digitize. So using those original maps. So there's quite a few smaller little ones. I think we did an approval for see, I can't even see it. So these little tiny ones here. So give you an idea of the scale. But
Okay.
it's just a few. I can't think of any others.
How often do they have to be updated?
It's good to do an annual update just to get everything on our official map, but you know, sometimes it goes a few years before they're updated.
Okay.
Any comments from anybody at all? Okay, can I have motion to approve?
Do we have to
I have
close the
to
public
close the-
hearing?
Yeah.
I
Motion
move
to
that we close the public hearing.
A second,
Second.
all in favor? Christine,
Aye.
Adrian,
Yeah, I,
Joe,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Okay. Now can I have a motion to adopt the new map?
I move that we adopt the new inland wetland map for City of Torrington.
Second,
I'll second.
and all in favor? Christine,
Aye.
Adrian,
I,
Joe,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. That's all set. Next is old business. Applicant Alfano Group LLC, location 87 Eagle Ridge, activity modification to redesign approved restoration plan.
So this was the applicant for Mr. Alfano came the last meeting, which was in January, and presented a modification from changing it from boulders as a demarcating area for the wetlands to native shrub plantings. There weren't any questions from the commission. In my memo, I was supportive of it. This is just an amendment to an existing permit. So the rest of the existing permit that prescribes plantings within these areas holds, and the marking of those areas with signage. But this is just a modification for those boulders to replace them with these native plantings.
I don't think we had any issues with it. I guess the question is what's gonna happen to the boulders now? Oops, okay. I don't have any problem. Anybody else have any comments? I have motion to approve.
I'll second that
Let's see.
motion.
I move that we approve the Alfano Group LLC 87 Eagle
I'll second
Ridge.
that
Am I
motion.
doing the right one here?
87 Eagle Ridge.
87 Eagle Ridge modification to redesign approved restoration plan.
I have a second.
I'll second
I'll
that
second.
motion. Joe,
What did you, Joe, I think Joe's trying to say something.
Go ahead.
I just said I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all in favor? Christine,
Aye.
Adrian,
I,
Joe,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Hey, motion carries. Okay, thanks. Okay, next, old business. Applicant James Mazzarelli, location 137 Babbling Brook Road, assessor map 221, block 003, lot 054. Activity piping of 130 feet of water course, creation of armored ponds before and after pipe stream, and backfilling of adjacent wetlands to extend lawn. This clarification of motion conditions.
Yeah, so this was approved, using a specific map that the commission, it kind of went back and forth a bunch of times, but the commission decided on a specific map to approve. The only thing I wanted to bring it back to commission for was that we didn't specify the conditions that were in the memo that I had provided, which include a shortened time frame for which, usually is what I recommend for a restoration activity, a 2-year permit. And then the marking of those wetlands with the markers. So the commission didn't say that shouldn't be the case, but I just wanted to make sure that, we could get on the minutes a clarification of what everyone was looking for on that and whether or not they wanted those specific conditions in the memo.
Yeah, I think so. Anybody else have any thoughts on it? All for it, against it?
Mark the wetlands, 2-year 2-year timeframe.
Right, it was really, the only difference was to specifically post the wetlands like is kind of the standard protocol
Yeah.
these days. And then
Wasn't he
then
approved-
shortening the time frame from a 5-year time window for the permit to a 2-year time window for the permit.
Wasn't he gonna put a fence up? He changed, I think he went back and forth a bit on what he was gonna use for.
There's fence or boulders.
Yeah, I don't think he specified. I think the commission indicated that
If
either
allowed.
would work.
Yeah.
As long as it was, you know, something that was approved by us. So
Problem with it.
just, if you just pass a motion saying that you'd adopt the conditions noted in the memo dated January 9th.
We typically do shorten the wetlands like restoration permits to 2 years. Is it common?
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, you could give them the full 5 years on that. 2 years just kind of allows the permit to expire sooner rather than, you know, having it dragged out across the 5 years. You could set it for any time between 2 and 5 years. So, I mean, that's up to you. It's
I'm
just,
just
it
curious.
wasn't noted.
I think the 2 years
Yeah,
makes
'cause
sense.
it's
Yeah.
been dragging along a year
Yep.
anyway.
Yeah,
We typically do that though. I mean, we've done that before.
Yes, yes. Not sooner than 2 years,
But up to 2 years.
between 2 and 5.
Okay.
All right. So I move that we grant the permit for 137 Battling Brook Road, Assessor Map 221, Block 003, Lot 054, for piping of 130 foot of water course, creation of armored ponds before and after pipe stream, and backfilling of adjacent wetlands to extend the lawn, with adoption of the motion conditions in the memo dated January 9th.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, Christine,
Aye.
Adrian,
I,
Joe,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, next, new business, the Torrington Water Company, location 95 University Drive, jurisdictional determination, restoration of banks at dike at Allen Dam Reservoir due to 2023 flooding.
So this is as it says, it's a jurisdictional determination for the Torrington Water Company. They had the washout in the map shown here. You can see where the stream takes that 90-degree turn. And it jumped that 55-foot existing masonry wall, washed out sections, undermining the berm that holds this drinking water reservoir for the Torrington Water Company. So my recommendation is to, you know, to determine that it's a as of right utility use exempted from permitting from inland wetlands.
I move that um, for applicant Torrington Water Company, it's 95 University Drive, jurisdictional determination for restoration of banks at the dike at Allen Dam Reservoir due to 2023 flooding is an as of right use.
Have a second,
I'll second
Oh.
that. Just Joe.
Joe,
2 seconds. Okay, all in favor, Christine,
Aye.
Adrian,
I,
Joe,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, this one is applicant Lila
Leila Campo.
Campo, location 232 Plug Hill Road, activity restoration of wetland areas along entrance driveway, relocation of silt fence where installed in wetland areas, and removal of areas of sediment deposit beyond constructed silt fence.
so this was a follow-up from enforcement of existing wetlands permits for the new campground on 232 Clug Hill Road. We do have the applicant's consultant SLR on Zoom right now. I don't know, Ryan, do you or Matt want to screen share and present? I have the maps as well. Ryan and Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, this is Matt. I could hear you. I think Ryan was going to screen share. I'm not sure. It seems to be muted right now.
No, I'm okay. I had to get back to the screen. Yeah, I can screen share. So just give me 1 second to bring up my maps. Turn the volume up a little bit.
That's why it's distorted. Unfortunately, I have it as a note to follow up on that. While Ryan's getting ready, I will say that this application came in for the February meeting. According to state statute, because we didn't meet during that date, it's considered officially accepted between now and or between February and March. The commission, it's up to you. You can either, wait on it, or you could make a motion to approve tonight.
Okay.
It's up to you.
What happened? Was there just a?
The snowstorm, a rainstorm or
Yeah,
whatever.
but no, it was a heavy snowstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything was closed.
Oh, I'll let Ryan kind of go over, but from our perspective, during regular inspections, we noticed the rerouting of an intermittent water course that was mapped, kind of where it enters the right of way into a drainage ditch that's a water course. So that was done without permits. There was some silt fence that we noticed was set incorrectly, and so there was clearing and grading into the wetland. And then there was one area in which the silt fencing had failed and sediment had entered into mapped wetland areas. So those are the 3 points that they're going to cover today. The most complicated being the rerouting of the stream and subsequent restoration of that.
Okay, can you hear me, Nate?
It's
I
really
got-
grainy on our side, not your fault. Just whatever, the system in here is not working well tonight. So we'll just try hard to listen.
Okay, can you see my screen, Nate?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this area represents the what were referred to as violation 1. So if you could follow my cursor here, the property line is this dark black line here. Klug Hill Road is just off to the right, and just to the north of our driveway. There was a stream and water core, a wetland and water course system on the west side of the existing driveway. And what happens is, under pre-construction conditions, this stream was discharging into a roadside swale underneath the driveway through a culvert, kind of hard to see on this plan. And the Public Works, in conjunction with the site contractor, thought it would be helpful to relocate this water course or this swale because it was overtopping the road in this area, causing a safety concern. So part of this was the site contractor trying to work with Public Works to alleviate a drainage concern on the road. And another element of it was the power company running underground conduit roughly in this area from a utility pole to some surface equipment. Again, partially within the wetland, partially outside of the wetland. So really the first area of wetland violation was sort of the redirection of the swale alongside the driveway and to replant grass that was disturbed to put in the electrical structure. We can deal with these sort of one violation area at a time, Nate or Mr. Chairman, or we can kind of summarize them all first. What's your pleasure?
Well, how many are there?
3.
3? And are they all significant, or is it? really
This
the
is
stream relocation?
probably the most noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, the relocation of the stream is the big one. But I mean, there was, and then there was, well, to summarize what just Ryan just said, because we're having a hard time hearing on this side, there was the rechannelization and moving of the stream closer to the access driveway. There was the filling of some wetland areas for the installation of a utility box that's partially within the wetlands. You can see that like light gray line with the black outline is the wetland mapping, the original wetland mapping that Ryan's outlining. So you see part of that hashed gravel area in there.
Why don't we just do them? We'll do them all one by one. And we'll rule at the end.
All right, Ryan, we lost your screen, or we have your screen, but it's not the map.
Sorry, I was just trying to get back to, okay. So the second area is a little more straightforward, but in this particular area, this is by Stormwater Basin 310, a little bit to the west of the site, roughly, centered to the property overall. The silt fence was placed in the wrong location, and it was placed partially in the wetland area. And so as part of this corrective action, we relocated the silt fence, upgrading of the wetland areas. There wasn't any soil disturbance in that area. There was a few trees that were, or some vegetation that was removed, but there was no soil disturbance. So this one was really just moving the silt fence out of the wetland area and leaving the vegetation that's in place to grow. And lastly, there is an area that had some S&E erosion problems, downgrading of a basin. There wasn't an issue with clearing or any intentional site disturbance, but there was just all the rain we had in December and January resulted in a silt fence being overwhelmed and some light areas of sand deposits, sediment deposits occur in the wetland, and that needs to be raked out to remove that from the wetland areas. So we have Matt Sanford on the call as well. If you have any questions regarding the nature of the wetlands themselves.
Do you have any more pictures of? I see this one picture you just showed.
Sure,
Do you
sure.
have any other pictures of the
So this is
water course?
Yeah, this picture right here in the packet that we had submitted is the violation number 2, where the silt fence was put too far, in this case, to the right. The silt fence should have been a little bit more to the left where my cursor is. So this area hasn't really seen any activity, any grubbing, any soil disturbance. It's really just some trees that were cut down that were permitted to be cut down. And in the area, excuse me, of the watercourse that was relocated, this represents where the diversion ditch was placed by the site contractor. This is in upland soil areas. And the old ditch was this particular swale over here. So the ditch, and Matt can go into detail on this, the ditch is not being impacted by the relocation of the surface runoff that comes through this area. This is all a groundwater fed wetland area and has contributing groundwater shed from adjacent properties and from the site itself. So the relocation of the ditch in and of itself does not result in any detriment to the actual wetland. The clearing done or the disturbance of soil for the electrical conduit is proposed to be replaced with topsoil and appropriate seed mixes for the type of vegetation on site.
So what happened with this water course? Was the water was coming down? Was it disturbed originally? And that's why it came down and washed everything out, and that's why the street department wanted it moved?
Well, I think I don't know if this was historically a problem or not, but this water course here comes into an area by the road that doesn't have a lot of grade change. The ditch gets deeper as you get to the cross culvert underneath the existing driveway. So what may have been happening in the past, I don't know this for a fact or not, but if this was overtopping from heavy rainstorms that we've had plenty lately, that this was an opportunity perhaps for the street department to ask for it to be corrected. I'm not certain if they had seen this occur in the past or not, but it certainly was something that they talked about with a site contractor, and just they kind of, quickly decided that, oh, if we just relocate this thing over here, it will alleviate any concerns with the drainage coming down the street. And I also believe the neighbor, Mr. Aragoni to the west, had concerns about, drainage entering onto Clug Hill Road in this area here.
So with this change, the street department's happy now that it doesn't go over the road?
As far as I
Goes
know, the
Goes
town
in-
engineer
does it go-
did
It goes
this.
into a culvert now?
Well, there is a culvert underneath the driveway today. Right in this area. So this whole roadside comes along into a ditch, goes underneath the driveway, and continues to the east or southeast. So there's no change in the, really where the water's going. It's just a question of whether or not it runs along this prior ditch, for lack of a better term, to,
Okay, so
yeah.
it just goes around, it still ends up in the same spot. It's hard to tell in your map. I can't really see.
Yeah,
I can
so,
see the dotted line with your hand
so
right
this,
there next to it.
Is that
It's-
the
this is-
new, that's the
is
new
that the old-
proposed location or the new
It's
location?
the old one, I think.
this is the old one here. Okay, this,
Yeah, the
this,
old one is the
line
one.
with 3
Yeah.
dots,
The new one's
And the-
here.
Yeah, okay.
and then it crossed underneath the driveway. The
Okay.
relocated one was here in thicker black line with 3 dots. And after reviewing the comments from the city engineer, we're looking to relocate it a little bit to the west
Okay.
in this location so that it comes in at a bit more of an acute angle. I mean, a obtuse angle, so that it doesn't have has less of a chance for erosion at the roadside swale.
This is intermittent water course? Or is there always water running down it?
Like, this is Matt Sanford, wetland scientist. So it is an intermittent water course, drainage swale. It's not a perennial water course in any fashion. Typically, this will be dry, probably come early June, mid-June, when all the grasses and vegetation is greened up and is growing. So you're only going to see water in this particular location, probably from late October into late May. So it's intermittent.
Is there any specification for the depth and width of that trench?
No, we're matching the geometry of the trench that was there. That, I don't know if it was evident from the photos that you saw, but what they constructed in the field for the relocated one, this darker line, is approximately the same geometry as the trench that's there. So this, and we show a graded swale here that would have more than enough capacity as compared to the swale that existed before construction.
Is there any reason to believe that after construction is finished, that swale would take on more water flow?
No, it's all coming from the same source up gradient, draining down to the same source down gradient.
Nate,
I'm looking
does
at
this-
this map, I'm still a little confused. The dark line is the approximate location of the recently installed swale. And the light one in the middle that's farther up is the proposed 1-inch wide or 1 foot wide intermediate riprap line swale.
That's correct.
I'm
So
like-
the
This is the one that was proposed by engineering. So this is the one proposed.
That's the one they have
City
now.
engineering.
Okay,
Yeah.
This is the one that was decided on by the site contractor and the street, Public Works. I think it was the street commissioner, but I'm not exactly sure who at Public Works identified this as the place where they wanted it. But when we submitted this application for review, the city engineer suggested a different
okay.
a different approach or a different path for this for this swale. So it's shifted a little bit more. So you can't really see it too well on the screen, but the ditch today, as it's reconstructed, discharges immediately adjacent to the inlet of the culvert.
Mhm.
So I think the city engineer's concern was that this would eventually cause erosion right at the inlet of the culvert, if it's so close to the culvert.
Now, on the first one, there's restoration?
Yes, there's some, the first one being this one.
Yeah, just go over the restoration on all of them.
Yeah, Matt, do you want to,
Yeah,
speak to
let me
that?
take it. Yep. So the Ryan, if you could point to the kind of the gray polygons here. So these are the restoration areas that are planned. Specifically, the smaller one to the north, right there, that is a gravel strip right now. What the electrical contractor did in order to run underground conduit from the pole to an electrical box, he ended up obviously trenching it and backfilling it with crushed stone. So at the surface of the wetland right now, in that gray hatched area, we have crushed stone. What we've recommended is to cover that crushed stone with approximately 2 inches of topsoil and reseed that area. So elevationally, it doesn't change much out there from what he's done, but it gives us a planting surface for a seed mix. This area is generally a wet meadow. If you've driven by this particular part of Clug Hill Road, it's a wet meadow, and that's what we're looking to restore it. So we've got a wetland mix associated with that. As we go further up around the electrical box itself is in an upland area. So would be using an upland seed mix, grass seed mix in that location. In the area just to the west of that electrical box that is within the wetland itself would be seeded with the wet mix similar to what's being seeded just to the north there by the utility pole. So our intent for the restoration is to restore this as a wet meadow as it was before in the wetland areas.
How big is this area? How many feet by how many feet?
Oh, it's pretty small. If I had to, I don't know if we've got the square footage here, Ryan, but if I had to guess, the first polygon area to the north with the gravel, I would say maybe that is approximately 15 by 5 feet wide, if that, probably 4 feet wide. And
I'd
then
say that, yeah.
and then probably a typical trench for for a bucket to get so it's about probably less than 4 feet honestly wide. And then the area in the wetland to the south or west of the actual electrical box, again, that looks like might be about 5 feet wide by, I don't know, 20 feet long. And it's just been disturbed in that area. They when they were installing the electrical box, obviously whatever they had of track machine or whatever they used disturbed the soils and the vegetation at that location. So they didn't change grade in there at all. It just unfortunately they disturbed the vegetation. So therefore, right now, if you go out there, it looks like there's barren soil there. So the object is to restore that to a vegetated state.
Okay, now where the relocated stream is now, what are you gonna do with that area?
So that would be filled in because it was upland before. So it wasn't a wetland before. Basically, what they did is they created a drainage swale through an upland. They rerouted the and picked up the drainage swale and water course that was originally within the wetland, and they just rerouted it through the upland area. So they just took a loader or I should say a backhoe, and just dug a trench. So that will be filled back in. And then, as Ryan explained earlier, the new water course drainage swale will be moved a little slightly north of that dark dashed black line, and it'll have a riprap bottom on it for stabilization.
How long is that?
Ryan, if you had to guess, how long would you say that is?
This is probably about, not even 50 feet. Probably 30, if I had to guess.
Okay. Nothing's really that huge.
Nope.
No, if you actually went up there, you'd say it's pretty minor in nature, but obviously it's a violation and we want to make sure that we correct it.
Okay. Nothing else is being done on this site now? I mean, as far as this, uh, activity is concerned with? Basically, what you told us is everything on what we're discussing right now. There's nothing else on this map that we're seeing.
Not related to the wetlands, no.
Brian, I have just a quick question. With the grading of the swale, the new grading of the swale and then the filling of the old swale, is there any restoration plan on that? Or are you going to rely on natural revegetation of those graded areas?
The relocated swale, this darker black line?
Yeah, it looks like the contours have been dragged up. I don't know if that's just kind of exaggerated a little bit, but it,
We're
yeah.
gonna be filling it in because what we want to do is create a separation from any drainage along the side of our driveway from this overland swale. So we're creating this berm between the two so that we have sort of separation of church and state. To keep the drainage in this swale, relocated swale, separate from what's coming down, anything coming down the driveway shoulder.
So that area, Nate, will be seeded.
Okay, yeah, that's the point. I was just, I assume
Yeah.
just grass or something just to stabilize
Oh,
it
yeah.
after the
Oh, yeah,
grading.
this can be
Yeah,
seeded,
of
yep.
course.
Just curious, was that pole always there? That was existing?
Yes, yeah, that pole is an existing pole that's been there. I gotta imagine for a number of years.
Certainly predates this application.
I was just thinking, what are the odds of hitting that one little sliver of wetlands?
Happens all the time, I'm sure. With utility companies putting poles where they want them, not.
Questions, anybody else? For the commission, do you want to rule on this tonight?
I see no reason not to.
Yeah, I would rule on it tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys online, okay with the vote today?
Yes,
Yep.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Move that we grant the application for Leela Campo, 232 Club Hill Road, for restoration of wetland areas along the entrance driveway, relocation of silt fence where installed in wetland areas, and removal of areas of sediment deposit beyond the constructed silt fence.
And I got one other question. Who's gonna make sure all this grass grows?
You could condition it on it being monitored by a certified wetland consultant like SLR.
And the approval is conditional on monitoring by the wetlands consultant.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Christine,
Aye.
Adrian,
Right.
Joe,
aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Okay,
Good night.
thanks. Okay, next. Cease and correct order. Order to show cause in the wetlands permit violations, location 2904 Winston Road, assessor map 243, block 002, lot 010. Owner DJF Investments LLC, Daniel Frigal, principal.
So this just came up during regular inland wetlands permit inspections. This happened, this permit was issued prior to me coming on. But in inspecting, you have on the screen, this is the permitted plan. I noted that the pipe was installed, but the length of that pipe, instead of the 96 linear feet proposed in the plan, was closer to 125 feet. And the compensatory wetlands restoration that was also conditioned with the permit did not appear to be installed. So I issued that just to bring Mr. Vergale back for the commission.
Anyone here? This? No. No one's here on, for Gail to speak on this?
I didn't hear anything from the office. Again, we this was all kind of extrapolated using mapping, near map, or kind of high resolution regular mapping. But also on the site, there's a considerable amount of erosion going on in this area where there's a large sediment pile. In fact, I can.
Is that pile that's stacked there in the wetlands?
Here, I'll show you. So this is, can everyone see this?
Yep.
This is the site. Let's see. Just.
Is that a stream behind?
Yeah, so I'll orient you to the site. Let me just pull up the property map.
Okay.
This has a long history to it, and I guess I can go over it. So this is the parcels. This is Winstead Road here. This is Greenwoods Road. This is for Gale Paving. And so, violations going back to around 2000, in which Kim Barberry found that there had been large material stockpiles in the floodway. So that's a pretty big violation of our floodplain regulations. No material is supposed to be placed in the floodway, according to Army Corps and our regulations. But it was also a violation of inland wetlands. So after years and going back and forth, some of the area was restored, some of it wasn't. A lot of it fell off the radar and it was never completely restored. Another issue was that these bridges put in, one here and one here, I believe. Maybe I'm not seeing it right. But anyway, at least this bridge was put in without permits. And that's also in the floodway there. This is the Still River, so it gets a lot of water in it.
Mhm.
Shoot, what was I? Oh yeah, so fast forward to 2020. Mr. Lyford, our current city planner and former wetlands agent, noted issues in this part of the property. And as a first step to remediating everything else on the property and bringing this back onto the radar, he required Mr. Vergale to come in and pose a plan for piping this stream so that they could access this newly acquired property, because it is kind of a tight spot. And so that's when this plan came about. But there's still numerous kind of questions. I'll throw on some of the wetlands layers so you can kind of see. So this large stockpile in this area was supposed to be removed as a condition of the last permit, and it still remains. This is from March of this year, or this is actually of 2020. Let's see, this is what it looks like now. So they filled in, you can see that area was piped well beyond the 90 feet shown in the permit. And the stockpiles actually moved into that area of former wetland and expanded here. And the bridge is still there as well. And there's other stockpiles on this side of the road that were not permitted. So there's a lot going on and it's kind of hard to wrap your arms around. So my recommendation of the commission would just be to require Mr. Vergale to come in and map all the wetlands on the property and the floodplain and get a permit showing how he's going to correct that, and then, take next steps from there.
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, I was on the commission when we had all the problems on the other side where it was stockpiled. And it looks like they got rid of those stockpiles, just moved them across, but there always was a stockpile, I think, pretty close to where that one is now. There always seemed to be one in that general area. When I go by, I always see it.
Yeah, it's all unsecured sediment and it's clearly like right here, you can see the wetland. This was all mapped wetland area in here and it appears like wetland and it's just actively flowing into that area. No fencing, kind of rills coming all the way down the pile into the wetland.
Do we need a motion?
I think to follow up with enforcement, the motion would be to revoke the permit because of violation of that permit. And then I would issue, I would follow up with enforcement, try to contact, and then take next steps from there and bring it back to the commission if it has to go to legal action.
I move that we revoke the permit for the location 2904 Winstead Road, Assessor Map 243, Block 002, Lot 010 for DJF Investments LLC, Daniel Borgali, Principal.
And uphold the cease and correct order. Sorry.
And hold the cease and correct order.
I have a second.
I'll second that motion. It's Joe.
Okay, Joe seconds. All in favor, Christine,
Aye.
Adrian,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Stephen.
Hi.
Okay, motion carries. Takes care of that. Next is staff report, enforcement update.
So I don't have any specific items enforcement to bring up, but I do have good news in that the citation ordinance was referred to council and then referred to the citation the ordinance subcommittee of council, and they approved sending it to council and scheduling a public hearing. So I believe the next council meeting that legally would allow it is going to be the public hearing for both that and the ordinance modification to change the makeup of the commission from 7 regular members to 5 regular members with 3 alternates, which should get at some of our quorum issues. Instead of 4 people, we would only need 3. The recommendation from the subcommittee was that be done on an interim basis for the year because one individual didn't like the idea of stifling participation. He liked the idea of not having 3 commission members rule, but 4, but understood the issues with quorum and didn't want to hold stuff up. So that was his recommendation. I'm not sure how council would deal with that, but we'd have to reappoint everyone to different terms. And we'd have to figure out, who would be a regular member and who would be an alternate in this case.
And next, agent determinations.
We didn't have any agent determinations.
I guess next is adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Christine,
Aye.
Adrian,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Stephen.
Hi.
Okay, motion carries. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you. You as well.